Hi, welcome to the Mangala Samiti podcast, where I talk about business, life, personal development, and other ideas that matter. I am your host, Mangala Samiti, and I am many things: a chartered global management accountant, CFO, author, voiceover artist, and so much more. But I really am just one thing, and that is a creator. I create content and solutions to problems and challenges. I hope this podcast will help you on your own journey to greatness.
I want to thank you so much for tuning in. This week, I want to speak to you about becoming a master of your emotions. Getting a handle over your emotions and learning how to use and rely on them in different circumstances is a skill that can get you ahead. Don't be a slave to them, but rather become a master of your emotions. On a related topic, I don't know how many of you feel like this, but every once in a while, I tend to feel like I'm a superhero and I can go on and on and on and on, executing and getting things done and simply doing my best at achieving whatever it is that I'm trying to achieve. Then every once in a while, I'm reminded that I'm a human too. I'm also a human being, and I also need to take care of myself. And it's the way I felt for the past 2 weeks, not being 100% and being ill and the like, and having this funny, weird flu going around, the little one being sick, but everybody in the household being sick. You just get reminded that you're a human, and you also need to slow down. You also need to take a step back and just relax and just look out for you and watch out for yourself, and make sure that you're also taking care of yourself. So if you are going on, if you are fighting and getting things done and achieving things and just going all out, do remember to take that time and just relax and just pause, stop, and take care of yourself. Remember to get some good rest, some at least 8 hours of sleep, eat healthy, exercise, and just be healthy. Now, let's get back to emotions, yours, and getting a handle on them. I remember this one time a couple of years ago when I dealt with a very irate customer. This customer was angry. This customer was pissed. This customer was just impossible to deal with. And I made the mistake of getting angry too. And even though it's no excuse because the client was also upset and also irate, the situation turned into a standoff, and I failed miserably in handling the situation. Admittedly, I did let my emotions get the better of me, and I remember standing there and looking at this customer in the eye, and the anger had built inside of me, and I felt like I could rip this customer's throat out because this customer was just being impossible, and the customer was there looking at me as well, and this customer was obviously angry and upset, and she just wasn't taking no for an answer. She was there to get her way, and only her way, nothing else. A couple of learning lessons that I picked from that. Learning lessons, you see, clients, all stakeholders in general, everybody wants to feel special. I read an article on Forbes that tied in with my general approach in situations like these, and also taking from this failure of dealing with this angry customer years ago. And this is how I handle difficult situations. And I encourage you to also adopt this approach because it has worked for me and it may just work for you as well. The first thing when you find yourself in a very difficult situation with an angry customer is to remain calm. You see, nothing is gained by responding in a similar manner to a customer who's angry, being rude, or just impossible. And if you make the mistake of doing so, chances are it will have the opposite effect and it will turn into a shouting match that absolutely helps no one. So the first step in any situation, any stressful situation, any situation with an angry customer, or any situation in general in a crisis, the first thing is to always remain calm. Then remember, never take it personal. You see, it's not an attack on you, but on a service or a product that the customer is generally displeased with. So it's not an attack on you. It's nothing personal against you. The customer is just unhappy and angry that the service or the product that they were expecting to fulfill a certain need has fallen short of that expectation, which was promised to them. So that is the reason why they are angry. Next is to actively listen. Sometimes people have had it so bad, and all they just want to do is to vent. They just want to let it out. They just want to be heard. So all you have to do is just actively listen. You see, at times I can admit I'd spend a little too much time, even longer than I have to, on the phone, listening to a client vent and going on and on and on and on about how they're angry with a colleague, how they're angry with the service, how they're angry with the product, how something has fallen short of their expectations. But all they generally just want to do is just to vent. And that's really all that they want. They just want to be listened to. I remember this one time, a client called in, and this was not even a product related to us, but it was for it was an investor in one of our clients' funds, because we are an administrator, obviously, at Jaltec. And this investor called in, and this investor knew that we were not the fund, we were not the client, but this investor just wanted to vent. And all that investor did was just vent about how they were unhappy, how they were promised a certificate, how they were promised things and they didn't get them, and the like. And the investor just went on and on and on and on and on. But I didn't shut the investor down. And I remember at the end of the call, the investor just said, "Thank you so much for just taking the time to listen. Just to listen to me. I know it's not you. I know it's not your fault, but thank you for just listening." And for me, it was indeed a pleasure. And that's how I generally deal with clients. I actively listen. You see, when a client is then done with their event, when they've let that thing out of their chest, I profusely apologize for the shortcomings that they have received. Not taking blame or not putting blame on anyone, but just apologizing. Whether the client is wrong, whether we are wrong, that doesn't matter. All you do is you just profusely apologize for the shortcomings that the client has received. Then you go into problem solving mode. And problem solving, the first step is to summarize the problem that the client has outlined to you. And in this case, I summarize the problem that they have outlined to me back to them to make sure I understand the problem exactly as they put it. And I ask them if that indeed is the problem that they've experienced, as well as the solution that they'd like to see. So I do ask the client, what solution in this case would you like? And I listen to whatever solution that they are putting forward, and I do tell them if there's a solution that can be achieved and in what ways it can be achieved. I take that and I tell the client, indeed, this can be done, or let me see what I can do. I give them the assurance that I would help them find the solution to get the issue sorted out as quickly as possible. After this, I then follow through on this particular solution. I get on it quickly, ASAP, and find the solution, or whoever it is that can help the client find the solution. After this, I then let the client know the way forward to close the loop and ensure that it's handled to their satisfaction. So I do give them the feedback and let the client know this is how we're going to solve it, this is what we've done, this is how we're going to approach it, this is the solution that you wanted, or anything else. I let the client know whatever it is that is being done, just to close the loop and ensure that everything that they needed has indeed been handled to their satisfaction. You see, with this approach, remaining calm, never taking it personal, actively listening, profusely apologizing for the shortcomings they've received, then summarizing the problem they've outlined, and as well as the solution they'd like to see, giving them the assurance that you help them find the solution, and then following through on it quickly and in good time to find that solution, and then closing the loop and feedbacking back to the client. It's an approach that has worked for me over my professional years, and I've ended up making some great connections with clients as a result. And like I said, it's extremely fulfilling to hear a client say, "Thank you for listening," or "Thank you so much for helping me really sort this out." You do gain a friend from that, and it's generally just good. It's fulfilling. You know that you've actually made a difference in someone else's life. You see, the business cannot continue if clients despise you, dislike you, and are only dealing with you because they have no other choice. Best believe those customers are only bidding their time until they rid themselves of you. And while you may think that you've had a victory and gotten them in line, most likely you've lost, because they've resolved to go and will tell anyone willing to listen how nasty or terrible you are, thereby killing any chances you may have had to succeed. And clients talk. They do talk. Whoever may have been a potential new client of yours will then be despondent to come and deal with you because of this bad interaction that this one client had. There's something called word of mouth in business, and that's how marketing also does work for you, through word of mouth. So a client tells a client of their experience, of their great experience, tells another client. And when these clients begin to hear about your awesome experience, about your awesome service or your awesome product, and how you dealt with things, those other clients then begin to come through and begin to deal with you, because someone that they know has experienced it and told them the good things about you and your service and your product and how you generally do business, and they like you, and they come because they've heard it from someone that they indeed do trust. It's one important aspect of marketing you need to remember: word of mouth. And the opposite indeed is also true. If a client tells someone of the bad experience that they've had, chances are the person that they're telling would not want to come and do business with you because of the general bad experience that someone that they trust has had. And that client will be swearing and will be saying, never do business with these guys, these guys are terrible, I just don't want to do business with them. And thereby it continues to kill your chances of success. And you see, that's the downside of not having your emotions in check. You may have a victory now, but that victory is short-lived, and in the long run, you've lost it all. This applies not only to customers, but everyone around you, and that includes your suppliers, your employees, general stakeholders, friends, and so on. So remember, you have to become a master of your emotions. Whenever you deal with anybody in any situation, always have your emotions in check. Never, ever, ever let your emotions get the better of you. Getting a handle over your emotions and learning how to use and rely on them in different circumstances is a skill that can get you ahead. Don't be a slave to them, rather become a master of your emotions. I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and please, if you have any feedback on this or any other podcasts or any other ideas, please do send me an email on mangaliso.meety@gmail.com. I want to thank you so much for all the feedback that you have sent to date. I do really enjoy and love receiving your feedback and reading the way that this podcast is making a difference in your lives. Thank you so much. Until next time, have a great week.